Hot Wheels Acceleracers Breaking Point, the third part of the series. Special movie episode, whatever you want to call it, begins with Vert being conflicted because he keeps losing recently despite being the winner of the world race. Then we cut to Taro watching Karma's tapes of the Ice Realm, where it randomly cuts out. He confesses his suspicion to Lonnie. The credits play over the silencers suiting up. The entire exterior of the silencer's car seems to be liquid metal. I really love the silencer's color scheme. Oh, and also they can go invisible. Back at the Accelerodrome, Nolo and Torque are on better terms, but Nolo still hasn't 100% forgiven Torque. Which feels very real that Nolo hasn't 1000% forgiven Torque, just because he saves his life. Also, Shirako has a motorcycle now. Porkchop is making a motorcycle. Monkey has made a robot out of spare parts and a drone. His name is Sparky, and he is best boy. Wild demands a race with Torque for leadership. Torque does not really want to do this, but they eventually agreed to do this, a race from the Accelerodrome to the old base, and back. Meanwhile, the drones are also making motorcycles.
That's why the Accelerons created us. But then they began to fear us.
Valorum finally explains who the drones are and what they want. They're ancient creatures built by the old ones, the Accelerons, but they were forsaken by their creators and abandoned underground. So they really are just Necrons from Warhammer.
The Wheel of Power is the key that will open the way back to the Accelerons. But only humans could get the wheel.
So they just want to go home and do bad things to the Accelerons.
Waiting for humans to learn to use what the Accelerons had left them. We waited so long, Kadim.
Revealing that Kadim is still alive and the drones have him, which was subtly hinted last time. I mean, it's not that big of a twist. I mean, come on, what? You thought they were going to horribly mutilate him both mentally and physically? This is still a show for kids to sell toy cars.
You'll know everything.
I stand corrected. Meanwhile, Wild got a new car, and the race begins, during which we see flashbacks of a younger Marky Wild. He joined the Metal Maniacs because he thought there was nowhere else for him to go. The rest of the team is watching the race.
The winner gets to be leader of the Maniacs.
And to you, that seems a logical way to choose a leader? Now I see why you're called Maniacs.
They make it to the old cardboard box covered in Hot Wheels logos, which Wild just drives through. Tesla confronts Lonnie about what happened in the Ice Realm, and he notices that it's oddly similar to what happened to Kurt. He just kind of disappears for a while as a new realm opens. This realm has a bunch of tubes in space. Lucky they have motorcycles. The drones enter with sweepers, and the tunnel tube things start closing. Monkey has problems going fast enough, so Taro goes back and drafts with him. So the sweeper just drives through the door, but then the tunnels start getting smaller, and it gets stuck. So the sweeper just shoots out a bunch of motorcycles. The silencers are somehow on top of the tunnels. Everyone splits up. Tesla decides to go into the realm with his car that looks oddly similar to the silencers. Even Gig doesn't know what's going on. And then the tunnels start shooting up a bunch of ramps. Turns out the drones really are just copying Acceleracers somehow. Nolo and Karma draft together, and they use a Swamp Whelm charger. And the silencers have a robot that looks identical to Gig. Back at the other race, Torque has a flashback of the race with Tone. They both drifted, and Torque drifted a little too hard, and that was the thing that caused Tone to crash. Torque doesn't want to repeat history, so he lets Wild win.
You scrap, Torque! Now I'm the leader of the Metal Maniacs!
Marky did a very similar thing in the world race.
Who's the tool?
Kurt Wild. He won the first leg of the world race.
Kurt's a major chafe, but that's not him driving.
Who's driving my car?
Back in the realms, all the tunnels lead into a big ball thing. So it's, again, lucky they have motorcycles. And then they all fall into different tunnels. Shirako wipes out and is almost blasted by a drone, but then he's seemingly saved by Monkey. But it turns out that was a silencer, because Tesla finally shows up in the realm and uncovers the silencer with some sonic light wave things, But then the silencer's car splits in half and turns into 2 motorcycles. Another silencer becomes Karma again. Taro considers ramming them, but he goes against it, just to be proven right when it's a silencer and he gets electrocuted again. And the silencers win. Back at the base, Tesla finally tells the group about the silencers. It's always kind of weird that the last part was called Speed of Silence and this one isn't, given that this is the one that explains who the silencers are and more shows them off. I sometimes get these two confused. Even Kurt notices that Tesla's car looks a lot like the silencers, which he plays off as the silencers stealing his tech. Wild says there might be a spy in the group. Back with Vert, he made it back to his house, and his dad shows up. His dad, Major Jack Wheeler, either has a really long neck or his arms are really low. He's named after an ancient Hot Wheels character, Jack the Rabbit Wheeler from the old 60s cartoon. If you really want to, it's not that impossible to say these are the same character. Assuming that each show takes place in the year they came out in, it roughly works out. But for real, this is a really nice emotional scene between Vern and his dad.
You know how sorry I am that I had to be away so much? But duty had to come first. That's the real challenge in life. Choosing between two things, when both of them mean everything to you.
Well, what if somebody else could do the mission better than you? What if you thought you couldn't do it? What would your duty be then?
What have you been doing, son?
Just racing with the teku.
Vert doesn't tell his dad about the Acceleracing and all that, but he still disapproves of him racing with the teku. And that's weird. Why does Vert's dad have a little purple key that he's putting in his briefcase? That could be probably important. Yeah, it's probably nothing. Meanwhile, Monkey's upgrading Porkchop's old semi. Now it has an EDR and full of nitrox, getting fueled by Sparky, which seems safe enough. Later that night, Tesla talks to Gig about trying to walk again by himself, but Gig says he needs more time. And then Vert decides to return. Tesla confronts him, but ultimately decides to let him race again. Wild, as the new leader of the Metal Maniacs, says that Torque shouldn't race, instead Porkchop should. But everyone else says nuts to that. They don't follow Wild just because he's the leader. They stick behind Torque because he's actually good at it. They're Metal Maniacs. They're welded together. Vert gets the Swamp Realm Acceleracharger and a brand new car! This realm is a junkyard. Ironically, Wild wipes out almost immediately. Vert really just has the worst luck lately because he gets sucked up by a magnet and is nearly crushed if it wasn't for the Teku having rockets in their cars. And then the drones enter with a sweeper. And Kurt pulls a Serato and uses extra dubstep bassing to cause an avalanche of garbage. But the sweeper just drives through it. Turns out there are 3 sweepers going around. So Porkchop and Monkey go into Old Smoky and decide to head into the realm, just as they realize that the EDR will probably only send back one of them. Sweeper shoots out some of those pit droid things, and Serato actually has a little alarm for this occasion, calling back to the Cliff Realm. One of the sweepers gets picked up by a magnet. Old Smoky crashes into one sweeper, blowing it up, which causes a third sweeper to fall and crash. Porkchop makes it back, and it turns out that yes, actually multiple people can use an EDR at once. The silencers were hiding out in the realm. Their Gig takes out the drone's camera thing, and then Truckzilla awakens. But one of the silencers shoots a thing that just compresses and eats one of its legs. Also, the silencers have entire car EDRs. Taro finds an Accelopod. This one is extra all-terrain. And then the next challenge of the realm is dealing with these weird windmill mace things. And they have to stay in the apex, the perfect line of a drive. And we have more flashbacks of Kurt saying that him and Marky will stick together, just for Marky to go to prison. In present times, Wild gets hit by one of those mace things and is sent flying. Everyone makes it near the end. One of the silencers disguises themselves as Kurt. He oddly has glasses that look very similar to Tesla's. I wonder why. Taro rams him, and Kurt actually takes the win for this. Serato gives Monkey a pair of drone legs for Sparky. Vert's upset that he comes in last place. But wait a minute, what about Wild? Oh. So he gets left behind again. And just like Kadeem, he gets captured by the drones. And speaking about Kadeem, yeah, he's got turned into a cyborg. That's horrifying. Anyways, our mini-episodes, the Ruins Realm. The groups drive through ruins and have to deal with giant statue monsters. Vert gets a new motorcycle until it gets crushed, along with his leg. Porkchop gets a new car. These people go through more vehicles than most people go through shoes. And all across the realm, we see a bunch of text in the drone's color, and it's similar to the ruins on the Real Power. Tesla decodes it and learns about the drone's history, and how they reawaken in modern times due to car sounds. And then our second episode is the Cosmic Realm. It's kind of similar to the Tunnel Realm because it's in space. Monkey now is a Formula 1, and he's sitting British style. The goal here is to try not to speed too fast to not get stuck with gravity problems. And Porkchop does. He's almost sucked up by a black hole, so Torque goes to save him just before both of them get sucked up. The drones enter, Torque and Porkchop comes out with Accelopods, and Kurt actually takes the lead for the entire group for once. Breaking point is the point in the Acceleracers where it starts to get really, really good. I love seeing the Metal Maniacs actually stay behind Torque and not just blindly follow Wild. I love seeing more of his backstory, letting us see how Marky turned out the way he did. The drones are an even scarier threat. The silencers are an interesting threat, causing distrust in a group that's starting to actually come together. Vert deals with self-doubt issues. All the races are fun and unique. Overall, this is a really good episode, or special, or movie, or whatever you want to call it. I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10.